Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, number 48. Master Rick, you're alive. And you're a Mandalorian? I have been for some time, Jeriel, my dear Edessa. Ever since you were kidnapped, as head of the New Generation Academy on Osadia, I often traveled off-world. Until the time I returned to find the community had been attacked, the school pillaged, the students gone. I searched the galaxy in vain for you, to no avail. I was destroyed. For years I drifted aimlessly, until in my despair I encountered the Mandalorians. I already knew hand-to-hand combat from my work as a trainer. They gave me a new name and a new life. I thought in the austere life of a nomad I would find solace, but I could never put the loss of you behind me. You, even so young, my greatest student of all. Is that why you ran away from the Mandalorians all those times? Yes, Roland the Runner. Yes, I was looking for you with Carrick. I succeeded. Great luck meeting him. But why didn't you tell me who you were before? So many months I was afraid. Afraid you'd never accept me, never trust me, never tell me what happened those years ago. I failed you and everyone else at the school. We're not just your teachers. We're your protectors. But now we can make things right, you and I. Behold, Osadia, your birthplace. You never saw it from orbit? I've dreamt it. So have I. It is a second chance, and I have made preparations for both of us. Your schoolmates are there, Jeriel. Help me in this. We can be their salvation, and you can be my redemption. Coruscant. You're a bunch of incompetent clowns. Demagal never got back to lock up, whatever. You know who you were looking for. Stop every vehicle you find. I don't care about rights or jurisdiction. There's a monster on the loose. We're safe as long as the owner of this dump doesn't come back. He already has, Griff. He's me. Just a hobby garage. Bought it before I joined you on Metellus. I needed a home base. Do they sell home insurance? Home base insurance? I think Roland's feeling better. I don't feel better, and I won't. Asleep for months, and they thought I was Demagal. I hate Demagal. That's good, because we need to know what you know. Everything. You helped save our friend from Demagal once. We need you to do it again. Soon. What I know because I ran. I told you that things didn't seem right to me. Mandalore has cultivated lieutenants no self-respecting Mandalorian ever would, all in the name of the victory. Cassius Fett, who uses trickery, and Demagal, the butcher. My first runs were finding out about him more. Talking to former aides, I learned Demagal is a Zeltron. But like no Zeltron you ever knew, and raised by slavers like you've never seen. The Scaloni, emotionless cyborgs roaming the galaxy and testing on innocence. Robbed of input, young Antos Rick's Zeltron empathetic abilities never developed, so he saved his skin by offering to help the Escaloni, learning the Master's hideous surgical techniques. The Mandoade struck the Escaloni just before your Sith War, freeing many slaves, including the boy Rick. We all make mistakes. Your medics taught him about other species, and Mandalore the Indomitable himself taught him martial arts. So he was stunned when the Dark Jedi Ulic Qel-Droma bested the Indomitable in single combat, subjugating the Mandoade. How was it possible? What was inside the Jedi? He had to know. Later, Rick searched Ulick's cabin for anything that might provide answers. He found something, a robe that Ulick always carried with him. Perhaps it held some genetic trace and would reveal more about the Jedi. But before he could investigate, the war ended in another humiliating defeat for the Mandalorians. His mentor dead, Rick shed his armor and fled to the Republic. Why Rick? I don't know. But he took the robe. Warwick found a place immediately in an Arcanian university recently renamed for their fallen hero Arcajeth. Warwick had talent, and Arcanian biologists have no respect for what's right. A perfect fit. Up until the day the Adaska family purged the University of alien students, so close to finding answers only to have everything pulled away, Warwick found friends in an unlikely place. In the shadows of the floating cities among the many medical students of the Arcanian offshoot population, expelled earlier but tolling on the nonetheless with those brilliant students, Warwick made his discovery. It wasn't Ulick Qel-Droma's robe at all. It belonged to his Arcanian mentor, Arcajeth. But legend says when Master Arca died, he vanished before Ulick's eyes, leaving nothing but the robe. I don't buy that, but it was Arca's robe. Ulick preserved it. A memento, I guess. He had genetic traces of the great Arcanian Jedi, but without better facilities it was useless. He needed patronage, and found it from Mandalorians interested in avenging their defeat at the hands of the Jedi. With the Mando aid, the wronged offshoots could pursue science as they never could on Arcania, while making the cells of Arcanian's greatest hero work for their own purposes. With them and other volunteers, Warwick formed a research colony on a hidden planet, Osadia. It looked like a utopian community far from the Republic and its wars, but it was actually a controlled experiment to create a race of Mandalorian knights using the cells of Arcajeth. They'd even be raised in an environment like the one Jeth maintained on Arcania, nature and nurture all at once. Is that even possible? You can't grow Jedi. Neither could they. Not like they hoped. Warwick's team couldn't grow clones. They could only modify children in vitro. But the first attempts proved unbalanced. Something in their genetic model was wrong. Eventually, Warwick realized that it was Arcajeth was not pure Arcanian. He had blood from the Sephi race, and even pointed ears like them. Don't bother looking for them in the history hollows. He was disfigured in fire a couple of years before the Sith War. Arcanian surgeons didn't reconstruct the ears, and the Daskas doctored all his earlier appearances from their history. They wanted their hero pure. The mixed blood was causing the problem. Of all the birth parents, only the malleable offshoots could adapt. It was actually two of the researchers who had the first child, Edessa, the triumphant. Jerial? Edessa is Jerial. She was the first. Soon there were a lot of kids, all physically talented at a young age, all related in a sense to Arcajeth. Warwick knew he had something. He'd studied Jeth's days as a student, his knack for picking up new Force talents quickly. He believed his students could be Force savants, quickly learning any talent they saw in use, maybe even gaining power from proximity to each other. They could have become the vanguard of a new uprising. Only Warwick made a critical mistake. He could never find enough prospective parents for his super warriors. So he got greedy, bargaining with some slaver outfit for more offshoot families. He didn't count on the slavers being greedy, too. Returning from a trip to report their success to Mandalore, Warwick and his aides returned to find the guards dead, and the lab ransacked, and the children gone. Everything came apart. He lost his discovery, but his colleagues had lost their children. When they learned he'd brought the slavers to Osadia, they wanted nothing more to do with him. His project died, but something awful had been born. Wyrick returned to Mandalore colder than ever, willing to do anything to anyone to advance his science. In time, we called him Demaragal, the flesh carver. Demagal. Demagal's story known, I had begun to look into Fett when I met you. I didn't mind helping you put one over on Demagal. I stripped his armor for you to wear at Flashpoint. Seeing he was a Zeltron confirmed what I already knew. But when I returned to fetch him later, I made a rookie mistake. Never remove your helmet while the hostile's breathing. I don't know what he injected me with, but my muscles went limp. I couldn't speak, but he talked. Like a madman, nattering about offshoot friend, about Jeriel. He'd seen her and made the connection. She might be a Jeth's child, and if she were, the rest might yet live too. He had to go with her, and that meant he had to be me. The last thing I remember aboard the Jedi shuttle, he dosed me again and again. Then he was gone, and so was everything else. We got conned. How could this happen to us? To me? He made us uncomfortable, but he protected Jeriel. We thought he was crazy. We all have idiosyncrasies. We cut him slack. But there's something else. The slavers who took Jeriel were from the Crucible, and Chantique was taken from the same place. But Chantique said she was sold into slavery by her father, and she's a Zeltron. Maybe one of the Demagal's earliest test subjects was his own daughter. His own. With a Zeltron he met on the project. The daughter disappeared one day, and the mother committed suicide. But you don't think. He threw her away. She's a psychopath, and he's a sociopath. He thought she was a failure. He threw her away. Everything about this is disgusting. Children are sacred to the Mandoade. I'm going to make him a smear on the ground. You can make it happen, kid. Yeah, and it's about that time. Get the door, Griff. Announcing Shell Jellivan, late of Terrace and escort, such as he is. You called me away from a senatorial dinner party, Zane? And people are going crazy out there looking for Demagal. Whatever this is had better be... Oh, you're him. You don't mess around, do you, Zane? You just find all the public enemies and bring them home for dinner. No dinner, but I had a Slisk bring you a gift, Roland. I hope you like it. You want Demagal's head, and so do I. Call this a down payment. Osadia, in the grounds of the New Generation Academy. It's so strange seeing this place again. And so awful seeing them here. They're Crucible, all right. Even Berenjar's here. They're head of security. I wonder why. To secure your fellow students, perhaps. Any one of them would be as dangerous to them as you are. The Crucible fears you, and it should. We are only two, but one of us is you. I have watched you fight and train. You'll know what to do. You'll be protected by lightweight armor. I have been fashioning for you these last weeks. And you will have this, something I picked up to match your fighting style. Something from a great warrior. Coruscant. It's armor, like mine, only it's flimsy. And who shaved off my spikes? It's just a party costume, but it'll help you move around. Terragriff Capital licenses all the Spikes merchandise. Oh, or I forgot to tell you, you're a sports hero. I'm a what? I'm working on finding you a real jetpack. In the meantime, let's see if my new edition is ready. And who sold you the stump? Your equipment lift's going the wrong direction. I know it doesn't look like much. But I've made some additions. Welcome to Rogue Moon Project Command. What? What is this place? Who paid for all this? You did, or rather we did. Dad invested what we took in from the exchange and the bounty on the Strangler. After I turned down the Jedi's offer to join them, Shell and I got to talking with the Republic, and now Jedi. Worried about the war, nobody's looking out for the regular people. So we brought together the families of the other Terrace Padawans and created this, the Rogue Moon Project. This is Garen's father and Camlin's sister. You've already met Uju's grandfather. He ran the freighter that carried the dust divers to the refugee center. Everybody pitches in. Shell knew how to build an organization for the Terrace Underground. Through her work with the senator, we get all kinds of information. They helped me find the Chancellor Filorian and the Crucible. That's what we do. We help people. Refugees, wrongly accused fugitives, anyone without hope. Like we used to be, and like Roland is now. I can't believe this. I'm supposed to be the mastermind around here, but you run all this? They do. I'm more of a volunteer field agent, a henchman. He's more than that. He's carrying on where my brother and the others couldn't. He even had a specialist fuse their crystals together for his new lightsaber. With Zane on the job, they'll always be alive. Thanks for letting us borrow it, Zane. We etched their names on the base. Use it in good health. Hopefully from here we can find Jeriel. It's a fair bet Demagal took her to this Osadia. At least we know he won't hurt her. Master Zane, I just remembered when you mentioned the lightsaber. I found something while mopping the other day. After the other Roland, finished using those chemicals he brought on War Tandel, he dropped this. It looks like a microtag. Says something here. Double-bladed lightsaber of Exar Kun, fallen Jedi, recovered Yavin system by Covenant Shadow Morn. Extreme danger. Do not remove from nullification resin under any. It's from one of the Sith weapons the Mumos stole from the Odrin warehouse. Could Demagal have lifted one and gotten it out of the green protection stuff? Was that what the chemistry was about? Oh, no, this is horrible. Demagal doesn't know what he's got, or care. Exar Kun, he lived to corrupt others. Anything he touched could be tainted. If Jeriel's some kind of force amplifier, there's no telling what could happen. We've got to get to Osadia. That's no good, Zane. Nobody knows where Osadia is. Even Demagal's colleagues I talked to didn't know. There's got to be a way. There's got to be something. He's got the look. Spirits help us. He's got the look. Then you know to get out of my way, Grip. Shell, we're going to need information on fleet positions and the Senator's connections to set up a call. Diplomatic channel, top secret, even from the Republic. Demagal isn't the only one who knows where Osadia is, Roland. Dice Sculliard knows, the slaver who kidnapped Jeriel in the beginning. He's the weak link. But you said this Crucible was in hiding. How can we call him? We're not. You're going to call Cassius Fett, and you've got to do it right now. It may already be too late.